All right, so today is Wednesday, the 7th of January, 2026. Now, like I said, when I was in the weekly outlook on Monday, we had the AUD CPI, you know, in the course of the night here in Nigeria, 1:30 a.m. We had saw the data coming out bad for the AUD and one good. So definitely we have an overall bearish outlook on the AUD, but that's already happened 1:30 a.m. But then the event we're expecting next today is the 11 a.m. Euro core CPI flash estimate and CPI flash estimate yearly. This will come up by 11 a.m. this morning, and it will impact upon the Euro pairs, Euro USD, Euro JPY, Euro CAD, Euro AUD, and so on and so forth. We'll check a couple of them and see if there's any setup ahead of this news event. By 2:15 p.m. today, there will be news from United States, and that will be the ADP non-farm employment change. This will come by 2:15 p.m. Though the afternoon session analysis will actually address the direction for this one, better. But then I'm just mentioning it since it's already on the list of events for today. And later today by 4 p.m., there will be Canada IV PMI, ISM Services PMI from US, and JOLT job openings. So it's also very good for you as a trader to take note of these events and the time they'll be released, because it can help you to manage your trade. Usually the rule of thumb is that you don't place a manual trade or a technical trade 2 hours before the release of a fundamental event. The reason is because you may place the trade and the data comes out from the fundamental and it goes against what you've placed technically, and that could lead to you having a losing trade. And sometimes it doesn't matter. You may say, oh, but the news is from United States, but the currency pair I'm trading is maybe GBP CHF. Sometimes fundamental events can cut across virtually all currency pairs. So sometimes it may not matter whether that currency pair is related to the one the news is coming out from or not. It's just safe to stay out once. And that's if you want to take trade technically. It's safe to stay out and just place a technical trade probably after the release of the news, maybe like 30 minutes or 1 hour after the release of the news. But then if you're trading the news itself, perfect. Then you analyze the market and place the trade when the data is released. All right, so with that being said, I'll just go straight to the charts and we'll look at what we have today. So I remember telling us on Monday that we may still have some slow movement in the market this week because the year is just starting. Usually, the second week of the previous year, that is from the middle of December to the middle of January, markets usually experience a slow movement, and we saw that when we started, this week. But then, hopefully, once in a while, we'll still see a couple of good trading setup, notwithstanding. So today, I'm looking at the NZD on 4 hour time frame. I've been watching this instrument for some time, and it looks like gradually it's beginning to work out according to plan. Now, this is the 4 hour time frame. Okay, let me go to the daily and see if there's anything. Okay, nothing much on the daily, but on the 4 hour, this is my outlook on the 4 hour time frame. Now, the overall trend here is bullish. Price is making a series of lower highs, and technically I'm expecting a further continuation, and my confirmation will be that the fact that this is already forming an inverse head and shoulder pattern, and if price breaks out above the neckline region, which is this region up here, or better still, let me use the trend line tool to draw it. If price makes a break above this current region, that's the neckline region, then we'll see price go to the upside. And the earliest area price will target, will be the next resistance. Yes, it may break out above the next resistance, but at least it will get to that level first before any other movement. And that's just some 30-40 pips away once we can confirm the breakout. So I want you to watch this closely. Now it's inverse head and shoulder. Even though you see it on 4 hour, it may as well be applicable on the lower time frame. All what we're looking out for is a breakout. This is a shoulder, the head, the second shoulder information. Once price breaks out above the neckline region as of the inverse head and shoulder, we may take a trade by targeting the next resistance level. Yeah, that's just say 30 pips. 30 pips from the point of the breakout. So I'm bullish on the NZD JPY, both on the 1 hour and the 4 hour time frame. And next is I'm looking at the other ones I'm looking at are not really currencies, indices and index rather, and a crypto, and that's the DJ30. DJ30 is Dow Jones. That's the Dow Jones Industrial Index from the United States. Now for the DJ30 on the daily time frame, we can clearly see here that price has been trading, making a series of higher highs and higher lows, bouncing and most importantly, touching the trend line up there each time it makes a higher high. So we've had consistently a whole number of bounce as price hits that trend line up there. Now, currently, if we zoom down, okay, before I go to the zooming down, so the next wave of movement should be a downtrend. Consider each time price hits the trend line, it experiences a downward movement. So also, if now it's yet to actually touch the trend line in this case, but then once it makes a move up and touches that trend line, we're going to expect a movement to the downside. So with that, we can flip down to 1 hour and anticipate price hitting this trend line, then making its way downward. So with that, we can as well just draw a trend line right here on the lower time frame to capture the movement as the breakout, gradually unfolds. I'm just drawing this hypothetically, to see us having a rising wedge pattern. So what matters here is that once price is able to break out below the lower trend line, we can trigger a sell. Now confirmation again is going to be our RSI below 50 and possibly MACD below zero. Like I always say, MACD depends on you. Either you want to you're an aggressive trader or a conservative trader. If you're an aggressive trader, once your RSI actually cross below 50, you're good to go. But if you're a conservative trader, you may want to wait to see the MACD follow suit by breaking out below zero. So technically, I'm bearish on the DJ30 for today on the 1 hour time frame. And the third one I'm seeing here is the XRP. The XRP, that's Ripple. Now for XRP on the daily time frame, price is in an overall downtrend. See it's making a series of lower highs, and yesterday kind of touched the trend line again on the daily time frame. So we're seeing the possibility of a further continuation in the bearish direction. You can see that the third time price touched the trend line on the daily time frame, there was a move to the downside. So we're expecting the same thing to happen here also. So we can move down to the 1 hour time frame. And on the 1 hour time frame, this is what I'm expecting. You can see price seems to move in this manner. I'm not seeing a clear pattern in the recent, but let's just see it more like a head and shoulder. That's what I can see. So if price breaks out below the neckline region, then we're going to anticipate a breakout. Currently RSI is below 50, MACD is below zero, so that tells us that it's actually gradually moving into that bearish direction. It's actually in the bearish zone. The only thing we're waiting for is a new candle to break out below the current level. Once that happens, you're free to trigger a sell on the XRP USD. So we're bearish on the XRP. All right, so that's going to be all from my end this morning. 3 instruments I've analyzed for us after carefully looking at the market. I'm bullish on the NZDJPY on both 1 hour and 4 hour, and I'm bearish on the DJ30 on 1 hour, and I'm bearish on the XRP on 1 hour. All right, that'll be all from my end. If you have any question you want to ask me, you can go ahead and post it in the comment section, and I'm right here to respond to you. So the floor is open. So while we're waiting for the questions, don't forget, like I mentioned on Monday, this Friday, 2 days from now, we're going to be having NFP. NFP is non-farm payroll. It's the biggest event in the forex market every month. It comes up once in a month, usually the first Friday of the month. But this is the new year. It's coming up the second Friday. But notwithstanding, we're taking it this week by 2:15 p.m. So do join us. We're going to be posting flyers very soon to notify you about it. And I will encourage you to go ahead and fund for this live trading event. Okay, so Mr. Opolua Kende, sorry, Opolua Kolawole, pardon me, he asking me to check gold. So let's go ahead and check gold. Now we should note that gold a lot of times is driven by fundamentals, and there are recent fundamental events that could trigger gold at this period. And from analysis on Monday, I said it technically, the week closed. Sorry, the previous week rather closed with a reversal candlestick pattern. That's this Marubozu, or maybe a tweezer top, which could lead to a downward movement. But then the fundamentals took over. If you follow the news quite close, you observe that uh, recently the United States government, through President Trump, how do we call it now? Is it let me say arrested, the president of Venezuela, Maduro, and took him to the US for trial. Now there are thoughts that US is actually interested in the oil sector, in Venezuela. Now, all this, actually triggered gold, and that's what was responsible for gold, violating the technicals and responding purely to the fundamentals in the last couple of days. So let's see what next gold has in stock. Hey, Madam Onaji, good morning, man, and happy New Year. Good to have you on board. Yeah, you were you were really upset on Monday. I could see you were not on board on Monday, but then you're welcome back, man. Okay,
Morning,
so
sir.
good.
You're
Yeah,
welcome back, sir.
you're welcome,
Happy
man.
New Year. And to
Wishing you same,
everyone
man.
of us. Thank
Yeah,
you, sir.
you're welcome. Okay, so gold. Currently, gold is just let me look at this resistance zone up here. If price is able to make its way up here, then we're going to be looking at selling downwards. That's the recent view I mean, talk about now. But then, like I said, in this season, trade gold with a lot of caution. Trade gold with a lot of caution, and you can also follow events. Events also is important at this period. I mean, fundamental events. Anything that has to do with uh Venezuela. And Trump is going about threatening countries. I think he's threatening another president that is going to arrest him. All those things going to lead to a lot of instability in gold. Though most likely gold may go bullish due to those events. So what you want to see is a technical bullish setup in line with some of those fundamental events. If you can have that, that can go a long way in guiding, how to trade gold. But for now, I'm seeing a rising wedge pattern and potentially price, going to the upside. And if it goes to the upside and hits that resistance, then we're going to capture a move to the downside as price breaks out below the lower trend line. So I hold a bearish outlook, but I want price to go first before crashing downwards. So that's my outlook on gold. Okay, Okonu Soro Christopher is asking me to check BTC USD. BTC USD. Okay, yeah, I've been following up on this for a couple of days too. Okay. So on the daily time frame, we can see that price is just hanging around this resistance zone for some days now. 2 days ago, price actually, can see a full bullish candle, but then it got stuck in that resistance. Yesterday, some bearish candle. So let's just go to the 1 hour time frame. Bottom line is that we're stuck at a resistance zone. So on the 1 hour, I can draw my trend line. Can I see on the second one? It's not mandatory on this one. All right. Now, since price got stuck on that resistance, technically we'll be looking at possibility for a reversal to the downside to happen. So I'll be waiting for price to break out below this lower trend line of 1 hour to trigger a sell on BTC USD. So I'm bearish on the BTC USD. Darlington, we are bearish on gold, but we anticipate it to go up first before it reverses down towards the downside. Now, please take note. I didn't say go ahead and place a sell. It's not yet time. You need to go up first before the breakout takes place. Trading requires patience. You don't just jump into trades. So for BTC USD, I am bearish. Yeah, we're waiting again also, for price to break out below the lower trend line to trigger a sell on BTC USD. So that's the bias for BTC USD. You're welcome, Mr. Okon. All right, I think I've attended to the two questions presented. Any other one as we begin to round up? Okay, so in the absence of any question or any request, we're going to be ending. Okay, Apollo Akolawole GBP USD. Now for GBP USD, we will need to first look at the dollar index. What's happening to the USDX? Now for the dollar index, you can see 2 days ago price actually closed as a bearish rejection candle on a resistance, on a resistance level. Technically, we may be looking at a possible bearish movement. Though yes, yesterday it experienced some bullish movement, but then technically with this rejection candle, we are to look for a potential bearish movement on the dollar index. So with that, that means we should be looking possibly at a bullish movement on the GBP USD. Okay. Now, on the other hand, what I'm seeing on GBUSD is, going opposite to what the technicals is saying on the dollar index, but then there's always a way around it. Now, for GBUSD, price is trending downwards, making lower highs. The third one, technically, we should be looking for a bearish movement. That goes against what we saw on the dollar index. So, what we're going to do is this: we're going to have a range zone on the GBP USD, and that will be this zone. All right. So if price breaks out above, which should be what we look out for, then you can buy GBP USD. But on the other hand, if it breaks out below this current structure, then you can sell GBP USD. So it's in between the buy and the sell. But I will actually favor more of the buy based on the technicals I saw on the dollar index. But on the other hand, if it breaks out to the lower side, you may sell GBP USD to the next support zone. If it breaks out to the downside, that can give you close to some 60-70 pips if they break out to the downside. But if it's to the upside, let's check out how far that can go. All right, so if it breaks out to the upside, you can sell to another like 70 pips, either direction. If it breaks out above this zone, you sell to the next resistance zone. If it breaks out below, you sell to the next support zone. Yeah, that's my outlook on GBP USD. Okay, so with that, we've come to the end of this morning analysis. Don't forget to join us by 12:30 p.m. for the afternoon session. Now, there's going to be a fundamental release in the afternoon, so don't miss it so they can get properly guided on how to trade the data that will be released, especially from the United States. All right, take care and have a wonderful day ahead. Bye-bye.